So good evening, everyone, my monks brothers, and also good evening, all the Dhamma students. In the evening like this, we normally have the Dhamma lecture for international monks. Okay, we have many monks here who sign up for the Monks Life project, and then the project is run 30 days. So in these 30 days, foreigners have a chance to learn about Buddhism and the teaching of the Buddha, and most importantly, they will have a chance to learn about meditation, both in theory and in practice as well. So tonight, Luang Pi planned to give the lecture to the new monks about the overview of the Buddhism. Okay, since we almost finished the trainings, but I realized that we haven't touched on the core teaching of the Buddha yet. And so I decided I will put things together in one lecture. Okay, for those of you who come from non-Buddhist background, or for those of you who are Buddhist, I believe this lecture is very useful. Okay, to understand the idea of the Buddha, Buddhism, and the Buddhist text in one lecture. So I come up with the name Buddhism Crash Course. Usually, crash course means something like jam together, something quick, something get to the point. Okay, but what challenged to me most is how can I put everything together, the whole teaching of the Buddha, which is hard to exist, which is very difficult to understand, for everyone to understand in the short period of time. Okay, so I'll do my best, but again, this is not going to be 10 minutes. Okay, we're looking at about 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Okay, and I'll take you a tour, stop by here and there. We explore the Buddhist text together, okay, and try to get to the bottom of the main idea of the teaching of the Buddha in this lecture together. Okay, so let us start from here. Okay, let's say we know nothing about Buddhism, and tonight is my job to let everyone know, okay, as much as possible about the Buddha and his teaching. In general, there are two kinds of religions. Religious with the first one we call theism, the religion that with the founder or the message from super being or God. Okay, and another type of religion is we call atheism, a religion that the founder is a human being. Buddhism is on this side. Okay, the Buddha himself, before he enlightenment, he was a man, okay, just like all of us, but he had gone through very intensive self-development, not just one lifetime. Okay, the text says many lifetime. Okay, until a man, okay, ordinary man, become a perfect man. Okay, it takes a countless lifetime. So he has gone through a lot of hardship, a lot of doubt, a lot of difficulty, but he never give up. And finally, this lifetime, he become enlightenment. And when a person enlightenment, we call him awakened person or a Buddha. So a Buddha is just a title that anyone can, become if you really determine to become one. Okay, it's just a title, just like the Prime Minister or Mr. President. If you qualify, you can be Mr. President or the Prime Minister. Same thing with the Buddha title as well. So it doesn't belong to one family, one person. No, it's open position. Okay, so this particular Buddha, his name is Siddhartha. Okay, Gautama. His family name. He was born prince. Okay, in the north of India at the place called Kabilapat. Okay, kingdom in the north of India around this time. Okay, 586 or 483 BCE, and a man was born prince. Mean his father was a king, and his father named Suttotana, his mother named Queen Maya. Okay, so after 7 days of his birth, his mom died. Okay, his mom's sister took care of him. Okay, Mahaparinibbana Khotami. And at the age of 16, young prince got married, okay, with another princess called Yasothara, and they have one son, and the son named Rahul or Rahula. Okay, just a typical family. Okay, happened to be a royal family. And at the age of 29, okay, he decided to leave everything behind. Okay, become a monk. Okay, but back then there was no monk because the people call aesthetic, okay, spiritual people who they leave from home to be a homeless. Okay, they search for something. Okay, and that's what happened to him at the age of 29, and it took him 6 years. Okay, on that search. He didn't know what exactly he was searching for, but there must be something. But it took him 6 years, okay, to discover what exactly keep bothering him and how to overcome that. Sometimes we call the word dukkha or suffering. He enlightenment at the age 35. Okay, it took him 6 years from 29 to 35, and then he started teaching what he discovered to people throughout India for 45 years. And then he died, okay, at the age of 80. And what would be the reason why Prince Siddhartha, who had everything, okay, born prince, handsome, okay, powerful, politically, financially, okay, beautiful wife, and wonderful son, decided to leave everything behind from home, from the palace, to be a homeless person. So in this particular text, I found two places. This is quite interesting for the reason why this young prince decided to, leave the palace to become a homeless. The text says, later, while I was still young, when he was young, with black hair, okay, endowed with blessing, with youth, okay, very healthy, physically, spiritually, mentally, okay, with the prime of life, just perfect age, 16 to 25, that's, the strongest age of human being, okay. So my mom and my dad, they're not happy about me leaving the palace, okay, so they cry. But I decided to shave off my head, okay, my hair and my beard, put on the yellow robes, and went forth from home life to homelessness. And why? This is the key word. Having gone forth means, ordination. Leave from home to homeless. Bhikkhu, in search for what is wholesome. Okay, the Pali used the word called kusala, which is translated in English to wholesome. He went out to search for something called kusala. What is kusala? Kusala translates to wholesome or goodness. Something good, something noble. Life in the palace is, ignoble. A lot of things, disturb his mind. He was not fulfilled by living such a prime life in the palace. Okay, so he seek the supreme state of sublime peace. So the key word here is kusala. And this is another one. Okay, when he achieved enlightenment, okay, he teach the monk, okay, why he ordained as ascetic. He said, Bhikkhu, before my enlightenment, okay, I myself, okay, I subject to what? Subject to birth, subject to aging, sickness, death, and sorrow, and defilement. Myself, I subject to all this. At the same time, I was looking for something in the same characteristic, which is, something that aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and defilement. What are those things? Human, animal, object, you name it. Everything, every conditioned thing subject to this law of nature. He himself subject to, okay, this one, birth, aging, sickness, and death. He also look for something, okay, that fall into the same situation. Then I consider this, okay, why being myself subject to birth, why do I seek what is subject to birth as well? Why I am subject to aging and sickness? Why I am also, okay, search for something that also aging and sickness and death and sorrow. That's the idea. Having understood, now he understand. After his enlightenment, he understand that the danger, okay, in what is subject to death, sickness, sorrow, and defilement. Everything that fall into this, law of nature are in danger. It is dangerous. So I seek for what? I seek for something opposite, which are unaging, deathless. Deathless mean what? immortal, right? Sorrowless, which means happiness. Okay, undefined supreme security from bondage, which is nibbana, is a technical term that the Buddha used. But before, okay, he used the word kusala because he didn't know exactly what he was looking for, but he realized that there must be something out there, okay, to help him, free from his worry and dissatisfactoriness, something that keep bothering him. From these two sutra, I don't know if you realized, okay, everything that the Buddha mentioned, birth, aging, sickness, death, sorrow, we all have experienced all of this. We have been to the funeral when someone we know that dying, we ourselves, we getting old every day, and many times that we getting ill, we unhappy. But how many of you actually reflect on this true nature of life and want to find a solution or get out of this cycle? None of us. We have seen people die, we have seen people get old, we have seen people dead. And we have seen spiritual people like monks, like ascetic, but we think nothing. But Prince Siddhartha think oppositely than a normal human being. So that is mean he has a very keen sense of observation. He observed the nature of himself, the nature of people around him. And that keep bothering him. Okay? So life in the palace was perfect, right? How come he was unhappy? Because he realized that happiness is just temporary. Eventually, okay, my mom died already. Eventually my dad died, myself also have to die. Everything I have, we have to leave behind. But how many of us actually reflect on this and aware of this true nature and thinking or trying to do something about this? Or we just accept and just move on. Okay, that's make Prince Siddhartha a unique man. And because of his dedication, okay, so he discovered something that benefit humankind 2,500 years ago, this generation and the future generation. And where do we start? If we want to know the teaching of the Buddha, okay, the Buddhist text has many of them. There are more than 20,000 discourses, teaching kept in the Sutra Pitaka. Where do we start? Okay, so I suggest, okay, if you don't know where to start, okay, let's start from the first teaching. The first teaching to me is very crucial. And why is that? Okay, remember he went out, searched for something, he tortured himself, for 6 years, okay, with the help of 5, aesthetic or Panchavakhi. And later on, okay, he tried a lot of things, but it didn't work. So he stopped torture himself. He practiced his own meditation. Okay, technical terms called vipassana. And then he achieved enlightenment. And once he achieved that state of mind, okay, he himself free from defilement. His mind was very happy, very joyful. He fully liberated. And he think of his who that he should be teaching. He think of his two teachers, right? Alanaka, Uddaka, aesthetic. But these two teachers, the first two teachers that he went to learn meditation, both of them dying. So he think of the 5 students, the 5 aesthetic, who used to take care of him while he was torture himself or practice self-mortification. But he stopped doing that. He started eating, take good care of his body, take shower, eat food. So these 5 aesthetic left him. Okay, so he located these 5 aesthetic and he found him. So he went directly to teach these 5 aesthetic. So these 5 aesthetic considered the first student that had a chance to listen to the teaching of the Buddha after his enlightenment. So that means the first teaching is very important. So he summarized everything that he discovered to this first group of students to hear for the first time. This is very important. Okay, and this sutra called Dhammacakkappavattan Sutta, this one, the one that we chant every day. We just, maybe didn't have a chance to go into the meaning of what we chant, but I'm going to share with you, okay, the 3 main important concepts that the Buddha mentioned in the first teaching. And you know what? After the first teaching finished, one monk in that five, one student in that, those five have understood what the Buddha teach and was able to achieve the first level of enlightenment. He becomes Sodapattana. His name is Anya Kontanya. So he became the first Buddhist monk in the history of Buddhism. And later on, they spent time together. Okay, the Buddha gave another teaching called Anattalakkhana Sutra. So after all of this, five monks listened to the second sutra. Okay, all of them have achieved the highest level of enlightenment, which is, we call arahantship. All of them, five of them, just listen to two first teaching. So to me, the first two teaching are very important. Okay, most of Buddhists only heard the Dhammacakkappavattan Sutra, but not many of us, heard about the second one and actually study it. So I encourage you, okay, to study both sutra. The first one is Dhammacakkappavattan Sutra, and the second one is the Anattalakkhana Sutra. Okay, it helps us to understand what it means by, self and not self in the second sutra. This is very important concept in Buddhism. Okay, we'll get to that later. Okay, back to the first teaching. What are the main ideas that mentioned in the first teaching of the Buddha to the first group of students? There are three things. The first one, back then, okay, there are two well-known, two common practices that people follow in order to free oneself from suffering. Okay, the first one is called self-mortification. This one. Basically, self-mortification is, torture oneself. Okay, when we torture oneself long enough, okay, hopefully that, one, supreme being or someone that higher than us will give us sympathy and help us to be liberated. That's the general idea. The second way that people practice back then is sense pleasure. They overindulge in sense pleasure. Just enjoy life. We have one life to live. Just enjoy it, whatever. Eat, sing, dance, travel. Okay. Enjoy as much as possible. And people believe that when you get to, the maximum level of that enjoyment, okay, you will understand, and then perhaps the mind may kind of get bored of those enjoyment, and eventually the mind will be liberated by itself. That's the general idea. But the Buddha have gone through both. He was born prince. I don't think anybody would understand what it means by sense pleasure than the prince. Come on, living life in the palace, okay, with all the servants, 100% women, young, good looking, in the palace. Father's king. You name it. So he understands sense pleasure, okay, very well. And he also tortured himself for 6 years. He knows exactly what it means by self-mortification, okay. He almost died many times, but he didn't. Okay, sometimes he eat 1 grain of rice a day. And the text said, when he touched his stomach, he can feel his, spine. You think how thin he was. No human being could understand. No human being would understand that, self-mortification. Okay, he almost died, but he didn't. So he stopped doing that, and he practiced his own, meditation. Eventually, he discovered something that mentioned in this sutra. He called it Majjhima Patipattha, or translate to the middle way. It is the middle way. And he teach this 5 ascetics. He said, if you still follow this one, sense pleasure and self-mortification, it takes you nowhere. If you want to be fully liberated in this spiritual development or this spiritual journey, okay, you must practice the middle way. This only takes you to the mundane state. But the middle way takes you further than that. It takes you to a supramundane state or nibbana. Have you heard someone say something like this before? He asked. All of them, said no. No one teach this before. This is the middle way is the new concept that rise above self-mortification and sense pleasure. No one talk about this. No one discovered this before. The middle way is not the way in between. That's what most of us, misunderstanding. Totally new concept that rise above these two practices. Okay, and that's number 1 main teaching in the Dhammacakkappavattan Sutta. The second one, okay, the Buddha explained more what is mean by middle way. Middle way points specifically to the path, which is, again, to be specific, the path means the Eightfold Path. Okay, so when we chant, we say that, Chakhu Karani, which is vision, Jnana Karani, which is knowledge. Okay, Upasamaya, which is calming, Apinyaya, Apinya, super knowledge. There are 6 of them. And Sampodhaya, awakening. And then, once all of this happen, enlightenment happen, Nippanaya. This is very deep. Okay, so basically the second important concept that mentioned in Dhammacakkappavattan is the Eightfold Path. Okay, and later on, at the very last paragraph of this sutra, the Buddha said, when my knowledge and vision, knowledge means what? Jnana means knowledge, and vision means eyes. Okay, it implies that the Buddha sees something, and that seeing gives him new knowledge that he never had before. And what did he see? He sees something called the Four Noble Truths, as they really are. Okay, thoroughly purifying, and I claim to have awakened to what? Unsurpassed perfect enlightenment in this world. So this is Nibbana, the middle way, the Eightfold Path, and then the Four Noble Truths. So these are the 3 important concepts mentioned in the first teaching of the Buddha. But these 5 ascetics happen to be a very smart group of students. The Buddha did not explain a lot. He just teach the concept and they understand. And one of them was able to fully understand. So he achieved the Sodapattana, the first level of enlightenment, after listening to this particular teaching. Amazing. How many times we listen to Dhammacakkappavattan? How many times that we chant? How many times that we study? And what happened in our mind? How many understanding or new knowledge that happened to us every time we study? So you check yourself. To summarize, the Buddha talked about Four Noble Truths, and the way, the first Noble Truth talk about suffering, right? And the way to end suffering, one need to follow the Eightfold Path. So in this slide, I put together, the concept of the Eightfold Path and the practical way to understand it. So Eightfold Path has, of course, 8, thing that we have to master in order for us to be pure and achieve enlightenment. The first one is right view. Second one is right thinking, and the third one is right speech. The fifth one is right action and right livelihood. Followed by right mindfulness, right concentration, and right effort. 8 of them. Wow, Lumpy, too many. Can you summarize, make it shorter? Yes. If you don't remember 8 of them, you remember 3 of them. What are those 3? Right view and right thought consider wisdom. And right speech, right action, right livelihood. We can group them under the heading of Sila, or ethical conduct. And the last group, right mindfulness, right concentration, and right effort, we can group them under the heading of Samadhi or concentration. So if 8 of them is too many for you to remember, just remember 3 of these. They're talking about the same thing. So in short, the Buddha, in the first teaching, the Buddha already summarized what he discovered. Not only suffering, he also give us the way to free ourselves from suffering. Not just mention about suffering. So he said, well, you do this 8 things. If this 8 things is too many for you to remember, you remember to do these 3 things. Do what? Observe precept. And then what? Practice meditation. Not only that, you develop your wisdom as well until you achieve the right wisdom. And that right wisdom, come from seeing things in different way, seeing that life is suffering, seeing these 5 aggregate is not us. Once you see that, you have new understanding, and that new understanding lead you, to be fully liberated. And in this sutra, quite interesting, the goal of holy life, I think we need to know this, so we can know what exactly that the Buddha emphasized, in his teaching. Someone asked the Buddha if the monk asked the Buddha, if some other ascetic or some monks from different teacher ask me that what exactly why I become a monk under the teaching of the Buddha or Gotama teacher, the Buddha suggests him to answer like this: you should tell that monk or that ascetic friend that the reason you become a monk or my student because you want to fully understand suffering. Just one simple sentence, but it has a very deep meaning of why someone become a monk. So here in this sutra, the Buddha said, it doesn't matter, okay? Monk in the past, in his time, 2,500 years ago, monk in the present moment, all of us sitting here, ordained as a Buddhist monk, or monk in the future, okay? Whoever decided to become a monk under his teaching, who went from home to homeless, all of us sign up to become a monk because we want to break through what? Break through the Four Noble Truths as they really are. Keep this information in mind why you become a monk. What are the Four Noble Truths? Okay, Four Noble Truths is considered the heart and soul of the teaching of the Buddha. Okay, that widely accepted by many Buddhist scholars. Okay, but tonight I will not go through each one of them in detail. I will not explain all of the Eightfold Path. Again, the topic is the crash course, right? I want you to get to the core teaching of the Buddha. You see the whole picture, okay? And then we can go detail in particular subject later on. So the Four Noble Truths, just get to know the term first, okay? The term that used is dukkha, the first truth. The first noble truth is dukkha. What is dukkha? Dukkha is the nature of life, okay? Unsatisfactoriness, okay? The common classic translation use the word suffering, okay? Suffering is not just pain, headache, stomach ache. It's deeper than that. Second noble truth is called samudaya. What is samudaya? Samudaya is the cause of suffering. The technical term called tanha. The English use the word craving. And the third noble truth is nirodha. Nirodha means the craving or the suffering can be ended. Okay, and nirodha is a synonym for nibbana as well. And the last noble truth is the makkha, which is the Eightfold Path. The Four Noble Truths is considered as the footprint of the elephant. So his footprint is the biggest. So that means all of the footprint of all animals can fit into the footprint of the elephant. And this means the footprint of the elephant point to the Four Noble Truths. So all the Dhamma that you learn, okay, if you track it down, narrow it down, it will fall under the category of the Four Noble Truths. This is very important. The Buddha, someone asked the Buddha, can you summarize your teaching in one sentence? What exactly that you teach for the 45 years? The Buddha said, yeah, sure. And what is it? And he said, I teach only one thing. What are that thing? He said, I teach about suffering and how to end suffering. So the first noble truth talk about suffering. Buddha said, okay, birth is suffering, aging is suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering, associate with someone you don't like is suffering, separate from something you like also suffering. Okay, he mentioned, in the first noble truth, the suffering that the Buddha wants us to understand, okay, that is the suffering that caused from craving, okay, which is tanha. We'll get to that in a moment. So in one particular sutta, the Buddha summarized what he means by dukkha. Dukkha should be said that it is the five aggregate of attachment. So you cling on five aggregate, human, animal, object that you are craving to have, consider the cause of suffering as well, because we have the wrong view. That's why we're clinging on it. We're clinging on these five aggregate. This is myself, this is me, this is mine. In fact, there is no such thing called me or mine. Okay, when you call yourself, okay, my name is Lumphi Nalongchai, I call myself. Can you tell me exactly where is Lumphi Nalongchai refer to? Is it my head, my hand, my heart, my bone? Where exactly that Lumphi Nalongchai refer to? What is it? It's difficult, right? It points to one five set of aggregate, and this aggregate happen to be called Lumphi Nalongchai, Mr. A, Mr. B. But in fact, there is no such thing is หลวงพี่ณรงค์ชัย to think about it. This is something deep. So the cause of dukkha, the Buddha mentioned clearly, is craving. Again, craving is English vocabulary, okay? So I think it's useful for us to get to the Pali term as well. The term used, the tanha. Sometimes they use desire or craving, which lead to renewed existence, accompanied by delight and lust. Seek delight here and there. That is 3 kind of craving that cause us suffering. The first one is called kama tanha. The second one is called phava tanha. And the last one is called viphava tanha. Okay, this word may be foreign to you. It's okay, okay? Don't worry about it. I'll try to explain. But I think it's important for me to let you know the Pali terms. When you study by yourself, it's very useful. So kama tanha translates to crave for sense pleasure. Okay. Phava tanha, crave for existence. Viphava tanha, crave for non-existence or extermination. Even though we translate, we still don't understand. What is it? Kama tanha. Okay. Sensual pleasure, crave to have. Okay. Phava tanha and viphava tanha. Okay. These 3 things is not easy to understand. We're talking about something deep. The Buddha enlightenment, and then he understand. For us, we are enlightened person. Okay, we only try to intellectually understand what the Buddha means, but we are not truly understand. Okay, how this tanha cause us suffering. But again, at least there is a concept for us to understand, and then we go from here. The Buddha mentioned that there is no affection or love like that of oneself. This got my attention. Everything we do for ourselves. We love ourselves the most. Don't you agree or you disagree? You ask yourself. Everything that you do because you love yourself. So if we try to understand tanha, which is quite difficult to understand, I think if we use the word instinct, it may help us to understand how tanha works. We born with it. We born with instinct. The tanha is in our mind. We born with it every lifetime that we born. Tanha is already there. Okay, the instinct. So the first kama tanha, instinct to have. All human beings, we have instinct to have. We crave to have. We crave to have. And once we have it, we crave to have more. We never feel enough. The richest man on the planet still want to be richer than that. When he fall into the second, he may be suffering. He wants to be number 1. That's nature of human being. We crave to have and we crave to have more. And the second one, phava tanha, the instinct to survive, or we crave to be. And viphava tanha, the instinct to destroy, we crave not to be. What is not to be? Okay, remember, this is deep subject, okay? No one truly understands tanha. But let's try. Here in these 3 kind of instinct, kama tanha is here. Phava tanha is inside. Phava tanha is in the deepest layer. And viphava tanha is here. Viphava tanha and kama tanha, okay, is on top of the phava tanha. No matter what happened, okay, we will sacrifice everything we have to make sure that we're still alive. We don't want to die, for sure. Let's go through example, I think, give us more understanding. Kama tanha, for example, if a man fall in love with a woman, a man see a woman and he like her, he love her, he wants her to be his girlfriend, so he keep chasing her. The driving force of this behavior come from the instinct of crave to have. Oh, I want to have that woman to be my girlfriend because I believe if she accept to be my girlfriend, I will be happy. You see, the driving force behind human behavior come from craving. So he keep chasing her until eventually the lady says yes. So they fell in love, they love each other, they become a lover, boyfriend and girlfriend. And during that good relationship, both of them crave for this relationship to last forever. And this is called Bhava Tanha. I don't want it to end because I love her and she loved me. And after a few years, okay, the lady may, meet someone else and she fall in love with another man. And the boyfriend realized that, oh, okay, so I don't like her no more. She's cheating on me. He want to end that relationship. So this is Vibhava Tanha. I don't want to be her boyfriend anymore. This is how Tanha works. And another example maybe, let's say, you walk down the street, you see the iPhone, ad, like say iPhone 12. I don't know what is, version of iPhone now. Let's say iPhone 12. You see it, oh, he said, oh, I want to have it. What drives you to want to have the new phone? Even though you already have the phone. This is Kama Tanha. Kama Tanha, not just sense pleasure. Anything, human, animal, object. Oh, I want the phone. That's Kama Tanha. You like it, you want it. And then you do your best, even though you don't have money, you try to borrow someone to buy it. Until you have it, you say, oh, I achieved. Now I'm the owner of this phone. I want my phone to last very long time. If someone stole it, you unhappy. If you break it, you unhappy. You are suffering. And this is called Bhava Tanha. You want that phone. You want to be the owner of that phone for a very long time. Okay? And eventually you get bored. You see iPhone 13, iPhone 15 come out. You find a reason to get rid of the old phone. And this is called Vibhava Tanha. I don't want to be the owner of this phone no more. I'm just sell it or give it to my brother. So I have a reason to buy another one. And this is another Kama Tanha. Take control your behavior to go find a new phone, even though you may not need it. And why are we suffering? Because we don't understand the law of nature. Okay, this is the law of common characteristic, or the technical term is called Trailakkana. Okay, the Buddha said, Sapphe sankhara anicca. Okay, Sapphe sankhara anicca. All compound are impermanent. Okay, sankhara means condition, compound, condition thing. Sapphe sankhara dukkha. All compound are dukkha or suffering. Suffering means it's unsustainable. And sapphe dhamma anatta. All compound are non-self. Okay, so this can take us to argument. You can make argument on this when you read by yourself. Okay, how come the first two use the word sankhara and the last one use the word dhamma? So this open up the room for comment and for sharing as well. Okay, but here I'm going to make it simple. Okay, so I'm going to refer back to the Dhammapada or the commentary. The word Dhamma can be substitute for sankhara. So when it becomes sankhara, it makes more sense. Okay. Otherwise, Dhamma mean everything. Everything mean what? Mean everything. Condition and unconditioned. And Nibbana is unconditioned. And how Nibbana can be impermanent? Because it is unconditioned thing. See, it lead to more doubt and more argument. So here I'm going to keep it simple. So everything that consider compound or condition is subject to three characteristics. The first one is impermanent. Second one is suffering or dukkha. And the last one is not self. How come it's not self? How do you know which one is self, which one is not self? If it's self, the Buddha said you can control it. If it's not self, it is uncontrollable. Let's say, can I tell myself not to get old, not to get sick, not to die? If I can, this is myself. If I cannot, this is not myself because I have no power to control my own body. Okay, so one who see this by wisdom, if you see this by wisdom, see mean, from vision, from eyes, then one is free from suffering. This is the path to purity. Okay, this sentence again is very deep. And how to deal with tanha? The Buddha give us, not just tell us, the problem, he give us solution too. How to deal with tanha? He said, a wise man grounded with ethic. Ethic mean what? Ethic means sila. Developing the mind mean what? Meditation. And wisdom. If you develop these three things, you will be okay. Can untangle the tangle mesh. Tangle mesh means tanha. Craving. Crave to be, or crave to have, crave to be, and crave not to be. Okay? And this system called Traisikha. So what is the final goal of the holy life? Okay, in one sutra, the Buddha mentioned that if you follow the Eightfold Path properly, Okay, okay, you master all of them, intensify over and over and over. Okay, the destruction of lust, hatred, and delusion. This is the new term. This is related to tanha. Once these three things get removed, okay, this is the end of your holy life. I mean, this is the ultimate aim of holy life of someone becoming a monk, to get rid of the root cause of suffering. Now we are in the third noble truth, which is Nirodha, right? So Buddha explained that Nirodha or Nibbana, okay, same thing, mean that discharge, okay, or putting out or completely remove what? The desire. Again, desire is tanha. If you remove these three tanha, that means you remove lust, hatred, and delusion. And once that happens, this state of mind is called nibbana. You're done. Your holy journey, ordained as a monk, is done, complete. Okay, and king of the first level of heaven, Sakka, asked the Buddha, "Could you describe briefly for those who have achieved that level of the ultimate aim of the holy life, which is that person already removed these three craving?" Buddha said, "Yes, okay. Once that thing happened, okay, to my monks, the mendicant mean monks, okay, when he practiced, the Eightfold Path, and then he get rid of all the, three tanha or craving, that mendicant, okay, will understand that nothing is worth insisting on, nothing is worth clinging on. They don't grasp on anything in the world. They understand the nature of life, the nature of five aggregate. So nothing is worth, insisting on. So once they understand this, the rebirth is ended. Spiritual journey has been complete. What has to be done has been done, and there is no return to any state of existence. Again, this is Nibbana. This is maybe long. I can summarize to one sentence, which is this one. Sapphe Dhamma nalang apinivesaya, which means all Dhamma should not be clung to. Again, this word show up here. What is Dhamma? Dhamma is everything, right? If we can be specific, we can call this is the five aggregate. Why? Because the five aggregate is the root cause of suffering. The attachment or the cling on, the five aggregate cause us suffering. And why do we cling on? Because the craving take control of our mind. We crave to have, we crave to be, we crave not to be. We crave for this life, this aggregate to last forever. We crave everything that we have to stay with us forever. Okay? Relationship, good health, possession, money, house, car. We crave for those things to last forever. We crave for that pleasure. Someone may ask, is there any pleasure in Buddhism? You talk about suffering, suffering, suffering all the time. The answer is yes. There are pleasure in life. Okay? When you success, when you get married, when you have kids, that's all pleasurable moment. But the Buddha reminds us that, hey guys, you are dancing on the canvas of suffering. Whatever pleasurable you have, it will not last forever. And when it happens, you will be suffering. So please remind yourself that it's okay, enjoy. Okay, you have money, you can buy house. You have more money, you can buy bigger house. No problem. Okay, 2 house, 3 house, 3 car, 4 car. It's okay to have, but realize that it's not gonna last forever. And when it happens, you need to understand it. Don't cling on it too much. Otherwise, suffering will run your life, and you end up unhappy. The final teaching, we start off with the first teaching, which is Dhammacakkappavattan Sutta. This is the last teaching in Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Okay, the day that the Buddha passed away, he gave this word to his disciple, all the monks. He said, conditioned things are subject to decay and strive on with his fullness. What does it mean? Conditioned thing point to again 5 aggregate, right? Any condition, human, animal, object that we cling on, you please remember that, okay? They subject to decay. They will not last forever. So you must move on with your life, with wisdom, with diligence, with heedfulness. Don't be careless. Remind yourself. Everything that Luang Pi have been sharing at the beginning come down to this slide. The Buddha discovered that the nature of life is suffering. That's why he summarized, I teach one thing. Teach what? I teach about suffering, and I teach about how to end suffering. And he not only just mentioned that, he gave us a clear approach, a clear structure of how we can train ourselves, again, completely remove all the defilement or the tanha in our mind. He said, okay, there are two groups of people in Buddhism: spiritual people, monks, and novice and bhikkhuni, basically people who ordained, okay, gone from home to homeless, and another group of people called the lay people, just like normal people, okay. So these two groups of people share the same common goal. Everyone wants to be happy, okay, but the supreme happiness is here. The Buddha point us there is such a state of mind that the mind fully liberated, and that state of mind is called nibbana. We don't know where, but he point us there's something called nibbana, and he show us the way how to get there. Nibbana cannot just happening. To me, maybe nibbana is too far. If you want to be happy, happiness cannot just fall from the sky. You need to do something. You need to have access to the right wisdom for your own life to be happy. And in order to have that right wisdom, you need to train yourself, self-development, whether you're a monk or lay person. Okay, the monk get on the highway. Why? Because he don't want to be, burdened with, the lay job, having family, go to work, pay the bill. It's just a waste of time, because we're not gonna live very long. So the monk decided to ordain and leave things behind. He can go directly on this spiritual path and purify his mind until he become enlightenment one day, following the Buddha path. And that's what happened to Prince Siddhartha. Okay, he has everything back to the palace. He decided to leave from palace, from home, to be a homeless person, and he success, okay, on his quest. So lay person observe 5, sometimes 8 precepts. Okay, no kill, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no intoxicant. Sometimes 8 precepts. But the monk, we observe more precepts. Okay, at least 2 to 7. Okay, we don't go in detail on that. But the Buddha give us framework in order for us to be happy in life. Okay, happiness is considered both means and ends. Okay, it doesn't mean we have to arrive at nibbana to be happy. No, if you practice properly, utilize the teaching of the Buddha, your life can be happy every single day that you wake up. For most Buddhists, when suffering happen, okay, our responsibility for the suffering that happen, or dukkha, is to understand, not to be. But most of us, when something happen that we don't like, we become suffering instead of just acknowledge, understand it, and figure out how to deal with that suffering in front of you. So this is the Dhamma, okay, of the Buddha. So he gives us 3 frameworks. The first one is called sila, or morality. The second one, once you observe sila, you can practice meditation more effectively, because sila only control verbally action and bodily action. Once your bodily and verbally is calm, is pure, then your mind has no worry, and with that mind, you can meditate better. And now you practice meditation on the second step. And once you practice meditation long enough, you will achieve the right wisdom. This is called panya. So these are the 3 framework. And this picture again is a summary. So sila, the first step. Samadhi, the second step. Okay, purify body and spirit, and purify the mind through meditation. And again, the last one, cultivate or develop wisdom, okay, until we understand the true nature of life, as the Buddha and the great disciple did. Okay, so if you remember nothing at all, the Buddha mentioned in Ovata Patimokkha, he said, Sappapapassa akaranang, mean what? Stop doing bad thing, evil thing, whatever consider bad, even the minor thing, don't do it. Stop. What happened in the past is okay. Nothing you can do. But start from this moment on, after you hear the teaching of the Buddha, stop doing bad thing. Start from the 5 precepts. Okay. And the second, is that enough? No. The second thing, after you stop doing bad, okay, you do whatever considered good. Kusala. Accomplishing whatever is wholesome or skillful or good, even though it's the more minor thing, small thing. Let's say give food to the baker, or help people here and there, say good word, be more kind, forgive, forget, whatever considered good, please do it from this moment on. Is that enough? No. Most importantly, Sachitta Pariyo Tapanang. You must purify your mind. And how do we purify our mind? Samadhi, meditation. Purify your mind every single day that you are alive. This is a must activity for us to be happy. Okay? Stop doing bad, doing good, and meditate every day. And with that, I'm done for tonight. So wish everyone have a very good night, good health and long life. And again, hopefully we meet again and learn something from each other. Okay? So please have a good night and rejoice in everyone's merit.